What's more important in Cranston tonight, baseball or politics? I'm guessing it's the former and not the latter, but we shall plow on anyway. Good Monday evening to you. Thanks for joining me on My State of Mind. Seen 3 times a night now, 7:30 and 11:30 on MyRI TV and on Fox Providence at midnight. Michael Sepe is my guest this evening. He is the former president of the Cranston City Council, and he's decided he wants to run for mayor. And if you've been paying attention to Cranston, Mayor Fung has himself in a heap of controversy, which even continues tonight. We'll cover that on the rundown, so let's get to it. Not waste any time here. Yeah, market correction. I think we're all kind of holding on to our wallets or our portfolios at this point. The headline was scary enough when the bell opened, when the bell rang and the market opened. I don't know why anybody was smiling. Take a gander.
The Dow Jones plummeted again at the opening bell, dropping more than 1,000 points in the first few minutes of trading.
For me, it felt like the crash of '87.
The sell-off continues last week's tumble on Wall Street. The Dow plunged 530 points Friday, its worst session in 4 years, and the market's worst week since 2011.
Yes or no?
Wall Street is now in what's called a correction, a fall of 10% or more from its high. Corrections are natural in a bull market, and most analysts say this one was long overdue.
And we all hope that's exactly what it is, a correction in a bull market. We get to 20, we get to a bear market, and then we start to bite our nails. My gut is, and it's only my gut because I'm not expert in this, is that this will be recoverable over time, you know, a reasonable amount of time. But look, you know, we've got a 7-year recovery right now, mild as the recovery has been since the devastating worst recession since the Great Depression in 2007, 2008, right? So on a cycle for a little downturn here, with a presidential election coming up in 2016, folks would like nothing better than to have a difficult economic period. Those are the political folks, not us, everyday people who would like to see good economics. But it could be a hectic next year or two for sure, and we could see a downturn again because statistically that is kind of what we expect. Remember, when the market goes down, it's a great opportunity to buy. How far it goes and what your number of comfort is an individual decision, it seems. Hang in there, we'll be okay. All right, next item. This is infuriating. Infuriating. Headline. When I saw this, I was off on Friday, not on television because we pre-recorded Friday's show on Thursday when Ken Block and Monique Chartier were here. But this Kathy Gregg story was oh so important. And if you haven't read it, go back to the archives of the Providence Journal and read this particular story. It's about the truck tolls. In this story, it is cited that the governor has hired a local talented public relations firm to spend up to $250,000-ish, just slight there of it, to follow this now, to convince us, come on back to me, Laura. This is an important point. Thank you. Okay, she's using our state taxpayer money to convince us that she's right. She's not using taxpayer money to hire a marketing company to bring tourists in. She's not even hiring a marketing company to help us understand bad legislation on tolls that's already been passed. She's using a marketing company. The Road Works concept reportedly came from the marketing company. And I will tell you that you want to be furious about this. In addition, according to the story, she's looking for the companies that might benefit from the construction of gantries, meaning toll machines, to kick in up to $100,000 to buy ads to convince us that she's smart. And they went, no thanks. Even the ask is on the fringe of not such good, clean government. I don't know what Gina Raimondo is thinking here. Then this rumor of a fall session is responded to in this story. It's right there on my table there. Speaker of the House is hesitant to call a fall session for a truck toll vote because he would like to see an economic analysis. And while I have not been a fan of the Speaker too much lately, I'm glad he's holding down the fort on this big one. And then I think to myself, okay, so the Raimondo administration buckles down and says, all right, we'll buy an economic analysis of the truck toll idea. You think maybe they would have done that before they proposed the project? Be wary of this, ladies and gentlemen, but be angry over the idea that our money's being used to sell us. There's no great brains in the payrolls of the State House, an $8.5 billion budget to figure this out on their own? All right, next item. This is getting really hot and heavy. Planned Parenthood protests are going on all across the country, and right here, Eyewitness News was there.
For more than 2 hours Saturday, the crowd continued building outside Planned Parenthood on Point Street.
There is nothing about Planned Parenthood that involves parenthood at all.
They're protesting abortions and the alleged findings of an edited video released nationally by anti-abortion advocates, in which they claim fetal tissue was being sold for profit. Bishop Tobin continues putting pressure on elected officials.
Are they still going to be associated with and affiliated with Planned Parenthood now that their very evil deeds, their evil agenda has been revealed more than ever before?
Supporters of Planned Parenthood stood at the entrances to the building, helping patients navigate through the crowd, playing music to drown out the presenters.
You know, I know a lot of people bristle over the bishop using the words evil, but that's what his faith teaches him. That's what people who oppose abortion believe, and you shouldn't be, you shouldn't be surprised by that kind of language. What is surprising is that an official on the Planned Parenthood side would be negotiating, the purchase of fetal tissue, and all you had to do was see that video, and I have, to be horrified by it. Planned Parenthood has not done a good enough job in purging this problem and has given the pro-life protesters a little bit of traction. I say a little bit of traction because everyday folks who don't get really excited about the abortion issue kind of yawn. But Planned Parenthood messes up again, there could be some traction. Speaking of traction, I don't know. Tonight, will the City Council in Cranston have it? They've got a headline here, Eyewitness News, pretty much guaranteed that the Democrats are going to vote yes on no confidence on Mayor Fung based on the state police report, the Ticketgate scandal, all of that. And now it's become kind of a political circus, maybe even a political joke. We had Don Botts, a Republican city councilor, who proffered to me that he was going to vote for the no confidence on Alan Fung, and then just before the show last week, changed his mind.
I don't believe I'm going to vote in favor of the no confidence resolution.
You've changed your mind.
I have. My initial reaction was possibly or yes. I don't like the timing of the police report and when it came out. If you know the city charter of Cranston, 30 months after the mayor has been in office, if there's a vacancy, there's no special election. It just falls to the council president. And I know it's the charter, but I have a problem handing the keys over to the opposition. If this report came out 6 months ago, I think I would be all in favor of having a special election and having the voters decide on that.
The more I think about it, the JV politics that goes on in municipalities, first of all, the cities don't run on ideology. Pick up the garbage on time, fix the potholes, teach the kids, protect the streets. It's not political, but they like to make it political. Alan Fung will be successful if his three fellow Republicans, vote no on the no confidence, and only the Democrats vote yes on the no confidence, because it'll look like, or he'll position it as, a political witch hunt. We'll talk to Mike Sepe about that coming up. He's about no confidence, I can promise you, because he's running against the mayor if he runs for election again. But the bigger story in Cranston, of course, is the kids. They lost to California, and they beat Missouri, and so they're staying alive in double elimination. They lose one more time. They're out of Williamsport, but they've had a nice time down there, and they're sticking around, enjoying the balance of the summer, and California's up next. California lost once as well. First time they lost in the entire run, so it's going to be a mighty effort to beat California tonight. If you're watching the show at 7:30, the game's on ESPN2 at 8 o'clock. If you're watching the show at 11:30 or on Fox Providence at midnight, you already know what happened. Bigger story probably in the Cranston City Council's vote, don't you think? Your state of mind is important to us. Email us, post on Facebook, call us, leave a voicemail. Love to do that. What do we have tonight? We have a post on Facebook. It's all politics, Dan. This is about the Cranston City Council. I closed my eyes, would have thought you were talking about the, I should say, Democratic boycott of your station. Most of the Democrats don't believe in what they're doing, but they do it anyway. Oh, I don't know. I think anybody that reads the state police report would say Alan Fung has got to go. The key is, you got to read the police report. When we come back, a guy who I know has, and we'll talk to him about his interest in being the mayor. Stay with us. So adding to the drama in Cranston is the announcement by a former council president that he wants the big job. There was the headline, and here he is. So 2 of the viewings in this show know whether the Cranston Western team won, and 1 viewing doesn't know yet. But what do you think's the bigger story? The Cranston Western team
probably the Cranston
no
West Little League team tonight. I think most of the people in Cranston are very interested. Sure. Even some people in my office, knowing that I'm going to be on your show tonight, they're more interested in watching Little League baseball game.
Remind them, 7:30 before the game,
that's what I'm going to tell them.
After the
Don't
game,
worry, I'll be calling them as
unless
soon as
they're in, like, 16 innings or something like that. I doubt that's going to happen.
I don't think so.
I always congratulate somebody when they decide to run for office, so congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Are you nuts?
Yes.
Okay.
A little.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. And we'll see you tomorrow night. Why?
Well, I think that the city needs a change. I think that what's happened, now I just want to make one thing perfectly clear. I decided to run over a year ago when none of this had come out. Okay, there was the investigation, but I had decided, I said, Mayor Fung has never really had a challenge in his years as running for mayor. So I thought that he really does need a challenge, and of course with this here coming out, it made it even more evident that, I think the city needs a change right now. They need someone who's going to be truthful, and my 10 years on the council, Dan, I've always been truthful. I took a lot of heat, but I've always been the voice of the people, and that's all I've ever cared about was my constituents. Whether I was right, and a lot of times I was wrong, but I always came out and I said what I really felt.
All right, so when you decided a year ago, you didn't formalize it until a couple of weeks ago.
A couple of weeks ago.
But if you decided you were going to run a year ago, was it a token decision just to keep the Democrats in the conversation for that office, or did you think that there was something that could be improved upon back then?
I thought that there could be things improved upon
like?
Back then. Well, number one was the police department. I think that there was a lot going on, even 8 years ago when Mayor Fung first became mayor in 2009.
By the way, remember that transition report thing?
Yes, that came out.
It's out.
I know. I didn't have a chance.
It's 2 pages.
Yeah, that's all it was.
It's the most underwhelming, unless I've missed something. We posted on WPRO, there you go, WPRO, 630WPRO.com. John DePietro finagled that out of the mayor. This document that the state police cite that they couldn't see and that he wouldn't release, it's 2 pages of notes that are as innocuous as anything you'd ever want to read.
That was the one by Parry, I believe. Parry wrote that up.
It is a complete non-starter. He identifies that there are there are problems, political in nature.
Even the mayor, I mean, just the way he's reacted. I mean, even 9 years ago, 8 years ago, when he was first elected, I mean, it was all orchestrated to change the police department. Election day, I'm the city chairman in Cranston, and I still am, and I'm probably going to relieve myself of that duty after the first of the year. But he was riding around with Colonel Palumbo and Captain Antonucci all day the day of the election in 2008. So, I mean, for him to say that they were only casual acquaintances at that time, we knew that there was something brewing in the police department or something that was going to happen. And right after he was elected, all of a sudden they had a vote of no confidence with Colonel McGrath. And we lost Colonel McGrath, we lost Lynch, Commander Lynch, and we lost Major Blackmar. And there were 3 young people, which we're paying pensions now on them, and we're going to pay them for a long time. And that's going to cost the city a lot of money.
Well, hey, listen, anybody that reads the report and is paying attention to the politics knows that Mayor Fung is not being truthful about his relationships with Stephen Antonucci and former Colonel Palumbo. everybody who pays attention knows that this was part of the currency for him to get elected. Their support, their money, all of that. But I don't know that the city of Cranston citizens really are paying attention and or care about these details. You'd have a better understanding.
I have a better understanding.
I don't get that sense.
You know what the sense is? It's when it came out. It came out in the middle of the summer.
Right.
You know, people are away. People are not reading. They're not going to sit down and read this report, especially at a coffee break. You know there's a lot in it, and it takes a long time to read it.
The truth of the matter is, if you get 30 pages into it, you're sick to your stomach.
That's it. And you
so
know,
I don't know that you have to go 182 pages
and you don't even feel
deep.
that you have to read anymore, because you know a lot of the things that the mayor's saying. I don't think he's being truthful to the public. And he's never apologized to the public for what he did in this report.
Well, he said he was sorry.
He was sorry. He was sorry to the people that he hurt, but not to the citizens of the city of Cranston.
Yeah, it's that part is splitting hairs. But you think you'll be running against him?
Yes, I really do.
I mean, do you think he's going to run again?
I think he's going to run again. I think he has that kind of bravado that he's going to say, hey, you know what, I can go. I'm going to go again, and I'm going to win. And I feel that I'm going to go, and I'm going to win. I think his time is up.
People who are casual observers of Cranston politics, and I am even less than that. I just, there's a lot of towns to pay attention to. Kind of chuckle over you running.
Well, you know,
because
I've been around a long time.
Because you've been around a long time.
I've been around
like,
a long time.
Sepe, he's not going to win.
Yep, because he's been around. He's been around for 10 years. He was a councilman. He's been 20 years as the Democratic chair. Right. Yes, I know I've been around for a long time. And, you know, I mean, you have Hillary Clinton running. She's my age. Jeb Bush, I don't think he's any older than I am. And they're still running.
I don't know it's about your age. You're only 68.
Yes.
I don't think it's about your age. I think sometimes people feel a little wear and tear about people who've been playing the political game for a long time.
It's been very possible, but I think a lot of the things that I came out with in the past, I think they're right on target today. What's happening? I'll tell you, I did a news release back in 2009 saying that Mayor Fung should go outside the department to hire a police chief, and he laughed at me, right? And he told me, he said no, because the reason why he was going to hire Palumbo because Palumbo had perfect attendance. I mean, that was kind of funny, but I had said at
today
that time,
he's wondering out loud why he shouldn't have done that.
He should have done it.
Well, he couldn't do it because he made a deal not to do it.
Absolutely. His deal was with Antonucci. It wasn't even so much with Palumbo. It was with the union. Right. Because he wanted the union support and he wanted union money at the time.
Well, when we come back, we'll talk about what this candidate envisions for the city. Stay with us. There he is in his press conference, Mayor Alan Fung, who, by the way, is absolutely, unequivocally invited to the radio show on WPRO, weekdays noon to 3, or right here, where Mr. Sepe is sitting. Alan's been here before. For some reason, he doesn't want to have a dialogue with me about, his troubles. It's going to be a challenging conversation.
Well, maybe one of these days he'll sit in that chair across from me.
Well, come that time, that'd be very interesting.
It'll be very interesting.
It'll be very quick, too, come next political season. Before we get to your vision for the city, what do you think is happening with the Cranston City Council and this notion that it could be 6 Democrats and 3 Republicans on either side of a no-confidence vote? If that is the case, Mayor Fung may have successfully orchestrated it to look like nothing but political shenanigans. Well, at least he can spin it that
He's
way.
going to spin it that way.
If you don't read the report, you might buy that.
Buy that. Yeah. And, of course, he's going to spin it that way. I think we realize that. It's going to go 6-3 because of the 3 Republicans are not going to dare to go against Mayor Fung. Okay? They are not going to go against Mayor Fung because of their re-election. All lie with Mayor Fung running for re-election and him supporting their candidacy.
Do you think politics is important in a municipality? I mean, you're the chair of the Democratic City Committee, whatever. You know what? It's about the garbage. It's about the streets. It's about services, and it's not ideological.
It isn't.
It's like 2 frats, arguing with each other.
And you're absolutely correct. There's no one's more conservative than the other. Although when I was on the council, I was very fiscally conservative.
Yeah, so.
All right, and I was very liberal as far as social issues go.
What
okay?
social issues do you
like
have
I
custody over in a city?
No, we don't
really?
have any. And that's why when people ask me, what's your abortion position, what does it make a difference in the city of Cranston? It doesn't make a difference in the city of Cranston. People are concerned about their potholes, and you're absolutely correct. They're concerned about snow plowing in the winter, and that's the big thing, the snow plowing, is to make sure it's done. And they're worried about the school department, which Ellen Funk has not had a good rapport with the Cranston School Department over his 6.5, 7
Well,
years.
rapport and productivity can be two very
Well, they
different
aim in the
things.
productivity. When I went to Cranston school system, I'll tell you, we have one of the best school systems in the country, never mind the state, and it has fallen, and it's fallen very fast. And I
You think
that
Cranston has the fall of Cranston has accelerated past the trends for large public school systems?
Why, of course, no. Well, yes, I have.
Why?
I really do.
What's the failure of the Cranston schools?
Well, I see a lot of the students are not performing up to their capabilities. And I think that that's one of the concerns.
That's not an exclusive to Cranston
No,
situation.
I know it. But I think that if I was the mayor and I was working closely with the teachers union and with the administration and the school department, that we can do a lot better.
Yeah, but mayors don't have authority over schools. Do you agree
Yes,
that ought to change?
Yes.
Yeah, one budget item, one decision, how much money you get. After that, it's nothing.
But how much money do you give them? Do you give them more money to operate with?
I
know a lot of the money goes to administration. And that's the thing that it has to, and I think things have to change on that.
Do you agree with me that mayors ought to have, by state statute, that mayors ought to have more accountability for education?
Oh, I think so.
I think you want to be the chairman of the school board as a mayor, and then, because people will, if you're the mayor, they'll stop you and say, hey, Mike, what's going on with the schools? And your answer day to day is going to be, it's not my, I got no power.
My job. That's right. It's not my job. It's their
So
job.
that's got to change. What is your vision for Cranston that looks different than today if you're the mayor?
Well, that's one of them. And the infrastructure. The infrastructure in Cranston is really terrible. I mean, we have potholes all over the place. We have a pothole.
They fixed the Parker Avenue Bridge. What's your problem?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Right on Garfield Avenue, right across the street from the police station where my office is, there's a big pothole. and it seems like the police cars go in it, and I go in it every morning. So I think that we do need some infrastructure, restructuring of streets. And
you had a plan for it?
Yes. That if we have to, we'll do some bonding and get some bond money in here so that we can do it. And we'll have to talk to Speaker Mattiello about getting more money into the city of Cranston.
How come Speaker Mattiello, a Cranston resident, hasn't said a word about this Mayor Fung issue?
Well, I think he's leaving it up to the city council. Well, I think he really is.
He does come from and represent
he
the
represents
district.
the district, but, we've been in contact with him. We've been talking to him, and he's given us some ideas.
Like what?
Well,
what does he say?
Well, he's supportive of us.
Supportive of you, meaning the Democrats?
Meaning the Democrats.
So is it really a party issue versus a right thing to do issue?
I think it is a right thing to do. I think that, like you said, if the people read this report, they would be appalled.
All right. As you go along, keep us in touch with your initiatives.
And I most certainly will.
And maybe.
And we'll see what happens
come
tonight.
Election season. Well, we'll see what happens tonight with the kids, but come election season, maybe it will be you and Mr. Fung here.
I hope it is.
I don't know. Good to see you.
It's nice seeing you.
Right,
It's always a
luck with
pleasure.
the vote.
Thank you.
One more thing and we come back. Stay with us. So don't panic. Don't sell any more stock, okay? Hang in there. That's my word of advice to you. As far as what's happening in Cranston, it's a day-to-day thing. Hopefully the kids pull off another upset and they hang around and keep the summer moving. The opioid crisis in this state continues to be a very important conversation, and that will be the subject on My State of Mind tomorrow night here at 7:30, 11:30 on Meyer ITV and Fox Providence at midnight. We'll see you on the radio tomorrow at noon until 3. Have a great night. Bye.